the zone of the vast unknown. UFOs, aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, conspiracies and cover-ups. Into the Parabnormal we go with Jeremy Scott.
From the cold, dark depths of a secret dungeon somewhere deep in the remote Pacific Northwest, late at night, surprising you on a Thursday into Friday, it is Jeremy Scott. Somewhere between abnormal and paranormal. I hope you're all doing well. There's some crazy stuff going on. Did you catch my drift? If those of you watching over on Facebook and YouTube saw the graphic, you might have an indication for what we're talking about tonight. I want to talk to you about a story that we actually have posted at paranormalradio.com, posted by our news staff, who have done a really good job in investigating and following up on some details and trying really to tie some loose ends together, because the story we're going to talk about is one that I've asked around, and most people either aren't aware of it or aren't aware of all of the details. And so if you go to paranormalradio.com, well, you will see a story that was posted actually today. It's still today, my time, doing the show, January 27th. It was posted about with the headline, "Witness becomes sick after truck carrying lab monkeys crashes." Does this seem a little bit odd to anyone? Let's get into some of the details here. A woman by the name of Michelle Fallon witnessed a truck carrying 100 lab monkeys that crashed in Pennsylvania. This happened last Friday afternoon. She became sick and is now on a 2-week antiviral regimen and has received her first dose of the rabies vaccine. She told television station WBRE, "I thought I was just doing the right thing by helping. I had no idea it would turn out this way. The next thing I know, the dump truck crashes into the trailer and it spins, and both of them crash into trees." Pennsylvania State Police say a silver Dodge Ram pickup truck hauling the, I believe it's macaw monkeys in a specialized trailer, collided with this passing dump truck near the intersection of Interstate 80 and Route 54 near Danville, again in Pennsylvania. Now, Fallon had been driving behind the truck when the driver pulled out in front of the dump truck, causing the collision, spilling the crates of monkeys. I mean, if you're thinking, Jeremy, you just came on in the middle of the night, and you're talking all of this crazy stuff. Did you pick this out of a novel that you're reading? Did you watch something on the Sci-Fi Channel or something like that? I mean, I wish that was the case. But it's not, friends. A collision with a truck carrying crates of monkeys. So some of the crates fall out, and this woman, Michelle Fallon, got out to assist the drivers, and said of the truck driver, he just asked if his trailer was okay. He never said, "If you do come near a crate, do not touch it." If he would have told me that, I would have been more careful. End quote. The monkeys reportedly arrived in the United States from the island nation of Mauritius in the Indian Ocean, and various reports from Philly Voice and New York Post claim that they were destined for an unnamed CDC-approved quarantine facility in either Florida or Missouri. Initially, there were local reports of 4 escaped monkeys, which triggered a large-scale search by Pennsylvania State Police, the Pennsylvania Department of Health, and the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. Within 24 hours, all reported monkeys that were missing had been located and reclaimed, and as you'll hear, some euthanized. Macaws considered highly valuable for experimental research, each worth as much as $10,000. One of the diseases spread by long-tailed macaws is herpes B, which can be transmitted through saliva, feces, and urine. Infections, though extremely rare, can lead to development of blisters and potentially life-threatening complications if left untreated, according to the CDC. Again, I'm reading from Parabnormalradio.com. Witness becomes sick after a truck carrying lab monkeys crashes, dated January 27th. Now, PETA, of course, they're getting involved because anything involving animals, they have to stick their nose in. PETA has condemned how the incident was handled, including the exposure risk to humans and the decision to euthanize the escaped monkeys without explanation. The organization filed a complaint with the U.S. Department of Agriculture, which confirmed it has opened an investigation. Residents near the crash site urged to monitor their health for any signs of infection and seek medical attention immediately if symptoms begin to appear. The identity of the driver and passenger of the truck carrying the monkeys have not been disclosed at the time of this report, again dated January 27th, Parabnormalradio.com. So there you have it. And I don't know, I'm just a little bit mystified by that. Call me skeptical. Because, I mean, the information that we had to gather, we gathered from at least 5 different online sources, including USA Today and New York Post, but then other publications which were closer to the local market. You always want to kind of get a national and a regional perspective of a story. The more local, regional perspective is going to have more background than, say, a national report, which would, probably not know that information and really be talking more in generalities. But, there have been many scenarios that have been, seen in television shows and movies and whatnot regarding monkeys. And this could just, I understand very well, could be just a scenario where these monkeys were going for some research that, maybe had great intentions and was legitimate and above the board, and there was nothing wrong with it here. But something tells me between the way that it was carried, I know it had a specialized trailer, but there were crates basically in a pickup truck, which when I explained this story to someone earlier today, they said, "You're kidding me." They were hauled around in a pickup truck, and they certainly were from the reports that we've gathered. Again, there is conflicting information in this story, including where they're headed, and maybe they already have some virus or some illness, and now it has been, transferred here from some other country, and who knows for what purpose. That is what is scary. Call it a special report here tonight. I wanted to get this story up. We've been kind of keeping our pulse on it since it happened. It was Friday afternoon, so a lot of news gets buried over the weekend. So early in the week, we were hearing about it and investigating and thinking we've got to get a story up online about this. We've got to get the information out there, and then gathering that information became, a feat in and of itself. And luckily, we've got a good team of people working with us that make that job easier. And otherwise, it would be hard to get some of this information out there because, you are literally, in some cases, having to, pluck this information, not just from, 1 or 2 sources, but as we, cited 5 different sources in which we pulled, different bits of information in order to compile that story for you. And the reason that I say, were they sick when they came here? Did they have something? Were they bringing something here? Is because of the woman, getting sick. And that is really suspect. The fact that the doctors have recommended an antiviral regimen, indicates that she does have some sort of virus or bacteria. And she's also taken the rabies vaccine. That information, I believe she volunteered because she wanted people to know. As she went on to say, and you heard me, she would have been more careful. Would she have stopped and tried to help the monkeys and try to make sure that she could keep, the ones from escaping that did, and render aid not only to the animals, but maybe to any people who might be needed, or to block traffic. There's just a lot of things that one person could want to do, stopping at a crash scene. But this right here, has a making of a feature film. Based on this story alone that we've posted at parabnormalradio.com, there's a plot there. There's absolutely a plot of a movie in the works, and people far smarter than I, or with more time and effort and resources, could put together some sort of sci-fi movie based on this plot. So, what were these monkeys going to be used for? That is a question that I'll be pondering here for some time. Headed to what does CDC-approved quarantine facility mean? And you think about this, quarantine facility. A quarantine facility for what? Why what? Do they have some sort of, illness, sickness, whatever it is? Are they bringing something here? Is this being funded by us, much like the coronavirus and previous flus? And, of course, we're going to stay on top of this story because I've got more questions here. I don't know how many of those questions I can legitimately expect that we will have answered. At this point, we don't even know, from what I understand. And again, these things change. And, we're not going to spend every waking hour on this story because we have so much more going on in paranormal news and into the paranormal. But we're certainly going to be circling back and checking on this as of the information that I have. The people who were in the vehicle, the truck with this specialized trailer that obviously wasn't good enough because it spilled the monkeys. So we don't know who they are, and we don't know who they worked for. And, we can't go knocking on the door asking, hey, it appears that you intentionally may have wanted to crash this vehicle with the monkeys. Why do I say that? Well, it's just not smart for anybody driving a vehicle to pull out in front of a dump truck in traffic. I'm going by the witness reports, and I'm going by what the Pennsylvania State Police said, which was that this pickup hauling the monkeys in this trailer pulled out in front of a dump truck, and that caused the collision. Out came the monkeys. I suppose this person could have suffered a medical situation. I'm not ruling that out. Maybe they were distracted. I doubt they're a bad driver because they were tasked with getting these monkeys from some port of entry, from some Indian nation into the U.S. and then driven, through Pennsylvania to, who knows, either Florida or Missouri. I think if they were going to Florida, they were going the wrong way. But I could be wrong about that. May have my barriers crossed. So we can't ask, who they are or were. I say were because, if the walls are closing in and they were involved with something that was like a top secret research project that got out of hand, they could have been instructed to just go away. And I'll let you use your imagination about what go away may mean because of the liability factor. And if they are brought in for questioning or quarantining or arrested or something like that, and could this be nothing? Possible. Is it possible that these research monkeys are, hauling up the interstate in Pennsylvania, careless driver, is a more common occurrence than I know of and you know of? Or maybe they just had a bad driver. Or, as we've been able to uncover, the monkeys headed to a CDC-approved quarantine facility. And again, so many questions on that. CDC approved. Okay, and then quarantined from what? For what? And because of what, I guess? Do they have some sort of virus that, I don't know, they can only recover from here and they can't recover where they were? Or, are they here because they're bringing a virus here intentionally? I'll just say this. I know we got a lot of truckers listening to the show. So if you're one of those truckers out there on the road, or you drive often, or you are a watcher of traffic, keep an eye out for me for vehicles that are hauling crates of monkeys. I mean, it's probably an odd thing. It's probably like a needle in a haystack thing. I might have high hopes, but not have it really be a reality. But if you're out there and you see monkeys being hauled around in vehicles, like a pickup truck with a trailer, let me know. I'd love to know, because I want to know if more of this is going on out there. And I want to know if this kind of thing has been increasing, and if we can track an increase in this. I mean, I want to talk to truckers. Are you starting to see this kind of stuff on the road and you've never seen it before? Or are we making, something out of nothing here? I mean, I'll admit that we don't know what these research monkeys were going. We've uncovered some information about where they may have been going. But again, we're getting conflicting information. And, so therefore it is very hard to confirm and to, say for sure. So if you're on the road, if you see this kind of activity on the road, I want to hear about it. You can get in touch with us through the contact page on our website. You can shoot me a message directly through Facebook. We don't always know exactly how these things are going to play out, but we have our suspicions about what may be happening here, because there are some very odd similarities. And I had heard some reports that the woman who we have talked about, and I'm going to see if I can actually get an article to back me up here before I say this. Yeah, I do have an official source on this, so I'm okay with mentioning this. This is from Yahoo News, posted actually today. A woman who began to feel ill after she was exposed to monkeys bound for a CDC quarantine facility has learned that her sickness was not caused by the primates, but is simply a bout of COVID-19. Do you buy that? Or do you smell a rat? Did somebody get to Michelle Fallon? Did somebody tell her, hey, look, you cannot say this. You cannot say that you got sick after being in contact at the scene with these crashed monkeys. You can't say that, because that would put the operation in jeopardy. So whether we have to pay you some money, or whether we have to silence you by some other means, force, taking away, I don't know, one's job, one's source of income, one's home, one's sense of security. So there is yet another twist to this story, that a woman who had contact at the scene of a crash in Pennsylvania this last Friday on an interstate between a truck hauling a trailer with these monkeys, 100 of them, 100 macaws, headed to a research facility, a CDC-approved quarantine facility in either Florida or Missouri. This is all information we've uncovered. It's at parabnormalradio.com. It's on our social media. And all of the sources for the information mentioned within the story are in those links. Now, we put those links there for a reason. Does that mean that the information within those links cannot change? I'm sure it can. And if the story continues to change, well, it just gets my suspicions up there. Because what I suspect is actually happening right now is a cover-up. This woman got involved in something that she shouldn't have, and she was told to say, hey, look, no, you didn't actually get sick because of contact with these monkeys, and don't you dare ask where they came from or where they're going to or for what reason. So shut your mouth and just say you had COVID-19. I mean, everything's labeled COVID-19 these days, although some things are now being labeled the flu, which is very, very interesting because we haven't had flu cases for, a couple of years now. So I would hope that you would share this link that you'll find on our social media. Please retweet, please share. That helps us. People always wonder what they can do to help us. Maybe they can't contribute monetarily. Those of you who can, we thank you so much because you have pushed us closer to our goal. I mean, just imagine getting me more often instead of just Saturday nights at 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern. It could be, Thursday night into Friday morning. Could be Friday night into Saturday. Could be Sunday into Monday. You never know. We appreciate everybody for going to the Patreon page and giving us your support there. For those of you who listen on TalkStream Live, you're blowing up the servers tonight. So you're listening over there, keeping us, one of the highly ranked shows over on TalkStream Live, Paranormal Radio app. And, of course, so it's one of the most popular streaming shows, period, and that is thanks to you. So thank you again for your support. I just wanted to say that here before we do say goodnight and bid you adieu. I would ask that if you do want to support us, that you do follow our news section at paranormalradio.com, and when we post these articles, that you share those. We're going to be ramping up our original news coverage on the website. And you'll see those stories that are written by our news team. You'll also see stories that are written by what I call my friends, sources that I support their work for the most part, and I have no problem linking to them from our website. So by going to paranormalradio.com and by perusing the news section, you're supporting us. And if you like what you see, by all means, go ahead and share that link wherever you'd like, and get people thinking. We need more people thinking when it comes to this stuff. We just can't, we can't be going into our shells. We can't be hiding in the closet and, thinking that the world's going to end and just clam up. We've got to think, proactively, and we've got to realize that, there's far more strange and weird about, the things that are happening around us than we could ever imagine. I mean, I have had a rude awakening in the last 2 years. I really have. Because it's opened me up to, the way that other people think and the way that they act and the way that they feel or don't feel. And I started this show in 2015, and I've been listening to shows like this from, far beyond and before that. But I always thought that, look, this stuff is great, I always love history lessons, so hearing about stuff that's happened in the past is just fantastic to me. I love that stuff. But I also realize that, the stuff that's not right there on the surface, that you got to dig for is far more entertaining. Far more entertaining. But when I listened to those stories that I heard on the radio for years, when I started doing this program, like, okay, those are great. Again, I love hearing the history. I love having people come on and tell their stories. I love hearing people's theories, opinions, personal experiences. It's all well and good. Far more interesting than anything else I could talk about. But it never really affected me until the last 2 years. I don't know. It never affected me in the way it has now. Does anybody else feel that way? I've been healthy the entire time. 2 years. 2 years ago, 2020, we talked with Dr. Stephen Hatfill. Yeah, he's the anthrax guy, but he wasn't the anthrax guy, okay? And then we were hearing these reports that we've been hearing for a couple weeks, but I just didn't know what to do with it. It was very hush-hush at first. We couldn't quantify it. We did this show looking back on the flu of 1918. 3 seconds until midnight. Are we on the brink of another one? And we kind of got word of that. And that was really our first show that touched on the COVID situation. If you haven't heard that, I highly encourage you to go back and check it out. Again, that was January of 2020 with Dr. Stephen Hatfill. And, since then, these subjects have become so real to me and raw. Like I said, I've been healthy this entire pandemic. Nobody close to me has been affected by anything, not in the hospital. 1 or 2 family members were in the hospital, ones that I haven't stayed close with over the years. So, nobody around me who was really, really super close to me, been really lucky, I guess. But in that 2 years, so it's not that has, forced me to have this awakening, to hit close to home, kind of like what I was talking about. It's an awakening that I've been seeing by the actions of others and by the trends that I'm seeing. And I think most people will agree that this whole COVID-19 situation has changed everyone. It has opened up eyes to what was thought to be impossible. It's now possible, and not only it's possible, it is reality in many cases. But to think that a situation in which led to the COVID-19 situation could not be perpetrated again is naive thinking, in my opinion. If you fail one time and you don't accomplish the numbers in which you had hoped to accomplish, you'll try, and you'll try, and you'll try again. Was this an attempt? Where were these monkeys really headed? Why were they headed there? Why were they in quarantine? I'm Jeremy Scott from the cold, dark depths of a secret dungeon somewhere deep in the remote Pacific Northwest. Good night, everyone.